We're going to begin with the Republican chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Ohio Congressman Mike Turner. Welcome back to Face the Nation.
Morning, Margaret.
Chair Turner, last week, as you know, there were federal immigration arrests of these 8 individuals with suspected ties to ISIS. They were rounded up in Philadelphia, Los Angeles, and New York. They traveled from Central Asia, Tajikistan, across the southern border into the U.S. Do you have any indication that there is an active terror plot?
Well, Margaret, I can neither confirm nor deny all the details that you've just reported. But what's important about these reports and what we're seeing, especially in conjunction with Director Wray's public statements that we are at the highest level of a possible terrorist threat, that the administration's policies have absolutely, directly related to threats to Americans. These are no longer speculative, no longer hypothetical. And we have actual administration officials stepping forward, and certainly our committee and our committee members have concurred on the intelligence that we're seeing, that as a result of the administration's policies allowing people to cross the border unvetted, we have terrorists that are actively working inside the United States that are a threat to Americans.
Well, the issue, as we understand it from our reporting, is that there was vetting, but that the vetting didn't turn up any derogatory information. Doesn't that indicate that there's a broader problem with the system that Congress would also have to address?
Well, Margaret, as you know, there are those who are vetted, and in the vetting process, there is not evidence the United States currently has that they're actively engaged in terrorist plotting or engaged with terrorist groups or organizations. And this administration, by their own policy, are then allowing those individuals in instead of fully vetting them, fully understanding what the risk is to the United States, and for the fact that they're letting them in and they're entering the United States through the southern border illegally. And that's what the threat is. That's what Director Wray is identifying and is bringing forward. This administration's policies are directly resulting in people who are in the United States illegally, who have ties to terrorist groups and organizations, and this is a threat.
The U.S. has already been in a heightened threat environment, but this past week, our CBS colleague and the former Deputy CIA Director Mike Morrell wrote a piece in Foreign Affairs warning that the United States faces a serious threat of a terrorist attack in the months ahead. He called on congressional intelligence committees, like the one you chair, to have public hearings with the Director of National Intelligence, the CIA, the FBI, and the National Counterterrorism Center. Will you commit to doing that?
Well, we have. In fact, the testimony that you just
public
played
unclassified
of Director
information
Wray,
from those individuals.
The testimony that you just played of Director Wray was a result of the intelligence committees, including mine. Director Wray was testifying before my committee and said exactly the same thing publicly of the threat. What we have done and continue to do, and what this administration needs to be held to, is that they need to declassify the information of the terrorist threats that they're seeing so that there can be a public discourse concerning what the administration's risks and threats are. This was knowable and expected as a result of the Biden administration's policy of an open southern border, and we are seeing it absolutely across the country. My committee has been open, my members have been open, and publicly discussing this threat and pointing the finger directly at the administration's policies.
Well, as you know, the administration points back at Congress saying they asked for more authorities and Congress refused to act. But I want to ask you about the Intelligence Committee. You've tried to keep it nonpartisan, as you've said on this program. Speaker Johnson, though, recently decided, as you know, to add 2 congressmen, Scott Perry and Dr. Ronnie Jackson, to your committee, reportedly at the behest of Donald Trump. One of your members, Congresswoman Chrissy Houlihan, referred to Perry as a threat to intelligence oversight. Quote, he will be on the very committee that oversees the FBI while he is directly under investigation by this very agency. Do you think that is a disqualifying conflict of interest?
Well, being concerned, obviously, about that issue and being the chairman, I contacted the IC to see whether or not there was an issue that, in due diligence from our committee that we needed to resolve or address. They indicated that there was not an ongoing or continuing issue or even a current issue that we needed to address.
The FBI
the issue,
told you that.
I think, here that's most important, the IC told us that. I think what's very important here is that the speaker makes this appointment and then what he's done since. The speaker has absolutely committed himself to these 2 individuals following the rules, not only the laws. Both of them have military experience. Both of them have had access to classified information before, and there's been no reports of any incidences of their mishandling of classified information. The Speaker has met with our committee, Republican members. He has spoken directly to Jim Himes. We've had a meeting with Mr. Perry, myself, and the Speaker, where all of these assurances have been made. But the Speaker has said this, that he is going to continue to monitor the situation. If there's any indication of anything improper happening, that he will intervene. And I believe the Speaker will assert leadership here. And
withdraw that nomination potentially. Well, Scott Perry has come out and took aim at you, as you know, because he said if he gets on this committee, he'll conduct actual oversight, not blind obedience to some facets of our intelligence community. And he claimed they're spying on the American people. How do you respond to that? He has apologized, and certainly those are the types of words that you would not want from somebody who's joining a committee that is obviously very dedicated to national security and very dedicated to working on a bipartisan way. I think that upon him joining the committee and looking at the work that both he gets to do and the work that we're doing, that he'll be absolutely satisfied that he can play a role in the work that we're doing for national security. So I understand you said you received assurances about their ability to handle classified information that they'll have access to. But as you know, Dr. Ronnie Jackson was demoted by the Navy because a Pentagon Inspector General report found that he had been taking sedatives while providing medical care to 2 U.S. presidents. That kind of compromising behavior would be disqualifying for most people when it comes to receiving a security clearance or having any access to the nation's secrets. I'm aware of those reports. As you just indicated, though, they are unrelated to the handling of classified information. And certainly the individuals in his district believe that those issues are resolved. He presents himself to Congress with his military background. And we're going to be certainly working with the Speaker and with Mr. Jackson so that, again, that he is a very productive member of our committee. And if there are any incidences, the Speaker has indicated that, as with Mr. Perry, that he will enforce our rules. But these seats could be filled by Republicans with national security backgrounds who don't have these kind of compromising situations over their heads. There certainly was a broad range of individuals who sought these seats. You were with Donald Trump when he was on Capitol Hill this past week, and he met with lawmakers. Is it true, as Congressman Matt Gaetz claims, that Mr. Trump said Ukrainians are never going to be there for us, and that he was trashing the Ukraine aid bill to Speaker Johnson's face, which Gaetz said is, quote, so epic? Is that true, and did anyone push back? I don't believe that Trump did that. I was certainly present. He did raise issues of how the Ukraine issue is being handled. I think there's certainly enough criticism to go around. The Ukrainians not being given the authority to use weapons inside Russia to hit targets that are hitting them. But I think overall what was important is that Trump was very focused on what his issues were as to why he was seeking the presidency and the changes in policies in the Biden administration. Border was an issue. Energy was an issue. The economy, China, and inflation were an issue. All ones where he had real concrete things that the Biden administration did to reverse his policies that have resulted in negative consequences for our country that he intends to reverse back. We will see if he stands by Ukraine then. If he is elected. Chair Turner, thank you for your time. I believe he will, and certainly of the members who are strongly supporting Ukraine, we certainly believe that he will, and it certainly is essential. Chair Turner, thank you for your time this morning. Thank you.